Hello, welcome to Study Circle. Today we are going to read Class 10th Standard Geography, Chapter 2 Forest and Wildlife Resources. This video is the summary of this chapter. If you are preparing for any teaching exam, this video is very useful for you. So, without wasting any much time, let's start. Forest and Wildlife Resources. Our Earth is a home for millions of living beings, starting from microorganisms and bacteria, lichens to banyan tree and elephants and blue whales. Flora and fauna in India. India is one of the world's richest countries in terms of its vast array of biological diversity and has nearly 8% of the total number of species in the world, estimated to be 1.6 million. At least 10% of India's recorded wild flora and 20% of its mammals are on the threatened list. Many are categorized as critical, that is, on the verge of extinction, like the cheetah, pink headed duck, etc. Classification of the species. The International Union for Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources (IUCN) has classified plants and animals in order to existence. Normal species. Species whose population levels are considered to be the normal for their survival, such as cattle, sal, pine, rodents, etc. Endangered species. Endangered species are those species which are in danger for extinction. For example, black buck, crocodile, Indian wild ass, etc. Now, what is vulnerable species? These are species which population has declined to level from where it is likely to move into the endangered category in the near future if the negative factors continue to operate. For example, blue sheep, Asiatic elephant, Gangetic dolphin, etc. Rare species. Rare species are those species with a small population may move into the endangered or vulnerable category if the negative factors affecting them continue to operate. For example, Himalayan brown bear, wild Asiatic buffalo, desert fox, and hornbill, etc. Endemic species. These are species which are only found in some particular areas, usually isolated by natural or geographical barriers. For example, Andaman teal, Nicobar pigeon, Andaman wild pig, Mithun in Arunachal Pradesh. Extinct species. These are species which are not found after the searches of known or likely areas where they may occur. For example, Asiatic cheetah, pink-haired duck, etc. Causes of depletion of the flora and fauna. Human beings transformed nature into a resource, obtaining directly and indirectly from the forest and wildlife such as wood, barks, leaves, rubber, medicine, dyes, food, fuel, fodder, manure, etc., which depleted our forest and wildlife. The various factors that cause depletion of the flora and fauna are large scale development projects, shifting cultivation, mining, grazing, and fuel wood collection, and lastly, the overpopulation. Now, what are the factors responsible for decline in India's biodiversity? That is habitat destruction, hunting, poaching, overexploitation, environmental pollution, poisoning, and forest fires. So, what are the measures taken for conservation of forest and wildlife in India? Conservation preserves the ecological diversity and our life support systems, water, air, and soil. Due to conservationist demand, the Indian Wildlife Protection Act was implemented in 1972 with various provisions for protecting habitats. The aim of the program was protecting the remaining population of certain endangered species by banning hunting, giving legal protection to their habitats, and restricting trade in wildlife. The central and state governments established national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. The central government also announced several projects for protecting specific animals which are gravely threatened, including the tiger, the one horned rhinoceros, and others. Project Tiger was also launched by the Government of India in the year 1973 to save the endangered species of tiger in the country. Under Wildlife Act of 1980 and 1986, several hundred butterflies, moths, beetles, and one dragonfly have been added to the list of protected species. In 1991, for the first time, plants were also added to the list, starting with six species. Types and distribution of forest and wildlife resources. In India, much of its forest and wildlife resources are either owned or managed by the government through the Forest Department or other government departments. The forests are classified under the following categories. First one is reserve forest. These forests are regarded as the most valuable as far as the conservation of forest and wildlife resources are concerned. It covers half of the total forest land. Protected forest. These forest land are protected from any further depletion. Almost one third of the total forest area is protected forest. Unclassed forest. These are other forest and wasteland belonging to both government and private individuals and communities. Now, what is community and conservation? The forests are also home to some of the traditional communities. Local communities are struggling to conserve these habitats along with government officials to secure their long term livelihood. In Sariska Tiger Reserve, Rajasthan, villagers have fought against mining by citing the Wildlife Protection Act. The famous Chipko movement in the Himalayas has successfully resisted deforestation in several areas. It also shown that community afforestation with indigenous species can be enormously successful. Farmers and citizens groups like the Beej Bachao Andolan in Tehri and Nabbe Danya have shown that adequate levels of diversified crop production without the use of synthetic chemicals are possible and economically viable. Joint Forest Manager (JFM) program introduced in 1988 in the state of Odisha shown good example for involving local communities in the management and restoration of degraded forests. Now the important glossary of this chapter is that biosphere. Biosphere means that part of the earth which is covered by living organisms, both plants and animals. Ecosystem. Ecosystem is an integrated unit consisting of the community of living organisms and the physical environment. Flora. Flora is the plants of particular region or period are referred to as flora. Fauna. Species of animals are known as fauna. Forest. Extensive area covered with trees. Wildlife sanctuary. A reserved area for preserving natural beauty, that is wildlife. Biodiversity. It is the sum total of all the varieties of species of plants, animals, and microorganisms living on the earth. Wasteland. Land which is not fit for cultivation. Normal species. The species whose population levels are considered to be normal for their survival, such as cattle, sal, pine, rodents, etc. Endangered species. The species which are in danger of extinction. Vulnerable species. These are some species whose population has declined to levels from where it is likely to move into the endangered category in the near future if the negative factors continue to operate. Rare species. Species with a small population may move into the endangered or vulnerable category if the negative factors affecting them continue to operate. Endemic species. These are species which are only found in some particular areas, usually isolated by natural or geographical barriers. For example, Nicobar pigeon. Extinct species. These species which are not found after searches of known or likely areas where they may occur. A species may be extinct from a local area, region, country, continent, or the entire earth. Example of such species are the Asiatic cheetah, pink-head duck. The Indian Wildlife Act. It was an act implemented in 1972 with various provisions for protecting natural habitats. Reserve forest. These are the most valuable forests as far as the conservation of forest and wildlife resources are concerned. Protected forest. These are the forests which are protected from any further depletion. Unclassed forest. These are forests and wasteland belonging to both government and private individuals and communities. Permanent forest. Reserved and protected forests are referred as permanent forest estates maintained for the purpose of producing timber and other forest produce and for protective reasons. Chipko movement. It was a movement launched by the people of Himalayas against deforestation. Joint forest management. It was a program launched for management and restoration for degraded forest. So, this is the summary of this whole chapter. I tried to cover all the main points of this chapter. If it is useful for you, then please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.